Hi, welcome to Software Testing from Scratch, brought to you by Eduonix. This is Chapter 2, Video 1, Common Phases of Testing. We've got the following topics to cover: who performs tests, test scope, common testing tools, testing strategies and best practices, phase advantages and disadvantages, as well as testing types: unit, integration, system, regression, acceptance, alpha, beta, V-model, and agile. So who performs the tests? The quality assurance team should perform all tests. Developers will only sanity check their own applications, and you are the worst person in the world to try and find bugs in your own software, mainly because you're looking for what it should do rather than what it's actually doing. It's the same that if you write a paragraph of text, you'd probably struggle to pick out your own spelling mistakes. If you passed it to somebody else, they'd be glaringly obvious. Now, if you already work in QA, you will know this, but if you don't, QA are generally the most hated team in the development lifecycle. Not only do we find holes in developers' work, but we're constantly bugging them, asking them questions, we're delaying releases, and putting the dev team under more pressure. So if today was going to be the day that you're going to decide on a career, I hope that helps. Larger companies have larger QA teams that are split off into different testing roles, such as the little chart we have here that has QA designers. They're the guys who would design the test cases. The QA engineers would perform the manual tests. The automation engineers would perform the automation tests. Above there, you would have the QA leader. They would probably be the go-to guy for most kind of technical questions on a daily basis. If tests were failing for an unknown reason, hopefully they would have the insight and the knowledge to help you there. And then above there, you'd have the QA manager. They would probably have a broader responsibility of delivery, scheduling, and team management. Chances are they wouldn't necessarily get involved when it comes down to individual tests. I mean, chances are they've probably come up the ranks from being a QA engineer themselves. However, they would have much greater roles and responsibilities. I once asked a very picky, choosy boss that I had a few years ago what would be their ideal QA team, mainly because they always complained all the time that their own QA team weren't doing the right job, and they said that the QA team should understand the business process and rules related to the system they're QAing, which is very good. Not only should you be able to test the system, but you should understand where it fits into the wider scope. It may help you design much more efficient test cases. Also, they shouldn't make assumptions of root causes unless asked to. Some QA guys might have development experience or systems administration experience. Sometimes it's difficult to try and detach yourself to actually test and not try and figure out what the problem is. But obviously a good QA team should only test and not spend time trying to do root cause analysis. And I think one of the best QA teams I've ever worked on, there was quite a broad range of experience and skills. It comprised of Linux and Windows systems administrators, security experts, and software engineers. And they were kind of pulled together to form this testing team because it was a high-risk project that had to go 100% correctly. And to be honest, it's probably the best QA team I've ever worked with. And they weren't actually testers. Some are now testers because they liked it that much, but having a transferable skill definitely helps. So, the test scope, to test or not to test, that is the question. A scope should definitely be defined by the requirements, whether it be by the QA team or whether it be by the software development team. Quite often, testing plans can come across and be modified from the development team because ideally they would have the best tools and the best understanding of how the system works to begin with anyway. It's important to make your boundaries clear in the test preparation document as well. It proves that you've understood the requirement, you've written test cases around them, and the evidence of that is that in this test preparation document it should reflect every one of the requirements. Now why don't we take a look at some common testing tools. For advertising purposes, the only ones I can demonstrate are going to be open source ones. It would be fine for you to download these, install them on your laptop, your desktop, or your virtual machine, and have a play around with them. They're all fairly easy to use. So we have a look at Bugzilla to begin with. This has probably been around much longer than I can remember anyway. It's a very simple interface. You can file a bug, search, open a new account, or look at documentation. A lot of ticketing systems also have a built-in knowledge base as well, which is very handy. So if you look at filing a bug, If we log in here, this is just a demonstration, one that we found online. Okay, so first you must pick a product. We've got the food replicator, my own bad self, Sam's widget, world control, or spider secretions. Now, in the real world, this would probably be product A, product B, product C, but have a look at the food replicator. So this is opening a new ticket. You would probably have to pick a component. If it was a product, it might be a particular unit that you've tested. So for instance here, a component will just salt 2, the component description to make sure you've got it right, another kind of salt, version 1, severity blocker, you can't continue any further testing until this is fixed. And then you just have different grades of problems right the way down to trivial, which it'd be a nice to have, or an enhancement. It's an addition you think would be nice to have. The hardware you're running it on, the operating system. So the summary, we have problem with system I am testing number 2. It would look in its own database just to see if there's any other ones that would match this, to see if it's already been raised. I can see that there isn't, so I found issue X by the following steps, and then you would list step 1, step 2, step 3, then you'd have an outcome as well as your expected result. And then you can attach evidence if you want to, whether it be print screens, debug information, that kind of thing. Then you submit a bug. Should get a little message saying it's been submitted. Yep, bug number 24609 has been successfully created. And here's the summary of the bug. Every time a comment is added, hopefully the next comment will be from a developer giving some feedback on the bug, whether it be to say that they've accepted it or rejected it, or that they knew about it and here's the fix for it. They would put something in here, say test failure accepted, thank you, save changes, and then it should appear as another comment on the ticket. It's all traceable, just so you don't have to copy and paste in emails and Skype conversations between you and developers. Okay, so that's one of them. The other one that we were looking at was OS Ticket. Very similar again. This got a bit more of a cleaner interface, it's a bit newer. This is just another demonstration website, softdelicious.com. Open a new ticket. Exactly the same, email address, full name and phone number. I presume it's got email address in here because it would send you an email if there's any updates on the ticket, just to guess. Ticket details, issue summary, issue details, and again, looks like an HTML formatted text input box, so you can give as much information as you can on here. Again, don't forget these are all free. You can also check a ticket status if you have the ticket number, or you can log in and you'll be able to see what tickets are assigned to you. Now my personal favourite, track. Looks a bit clunky, but it is actually quite good. You can you view what tickets are open at the minute, active tickets, tickets by version, tickets by milestone. A milestone will be a project, accepted or active tickets by owner. As you can see, there's many here that people have been demonstrating with, but if we create a new ticket, summary, track, demo, another description, issue found with software product, type defect or enhancement. Let's make it an enhancement. A milestone. What version of milestone is it? Version 2. It's trivial because it's the enhancement. CC. This is if you're creating a ticket and you're assigning it to the development team, you want to put your boss on there really. You want to make sure that he or she knows exactly what's going on. So you just put my boss in there, and then you would just put in as much information as you can in here. Your email address. Again, that will be so if there's any ticket updates, you'll get them, and then you can preview it. Yeah, it looks fine. Create ticket. The software's great. It's improved all the time. Pretty easy to set up. There's multiple guides online. It only runs on a Linux platform as far as I know, unless that's changed, but I've seen systems where there's been 1,000 people using this and it's absolutely fine, it's perfect. There's a wiki built in as well. It uses the actual Wikipedia engine to create FAQs, guides, that kind of thing, so it's pretty good. Okay, so next we have Selenium. Selenium automates browsers. That's exactly what it does. What you do with that power is entirely up to you. I'll give you a demonstration of what it does. I've downloaded the Selenium IDE, which is pretty good. It's a little plugin on Firefox. It records automatically as soon as you start it, and it just records what you do. So if we look at gov.uk, just make sure it's recording. Yes, it's recording. We go to the government website. We then do a search for schools, and we look at school term and holiday dates. You can see the commands and the targets are being populated here. So if we just stop this quickly, not only gives you a table of what you run, but it gives you the actual source as well, which is handy if you wanted to customize it. If you want to replay it, you can replay the entire test, or you can replay it step by step. So just for a quick demo, we'll do it step by step. So it should go to Google, search for gov.uk, enter schools into the search, and then we should end up on the school term and holiday dates page. So if we run it, there we go. You see that? Really good. Not only good for testing, good for administration as well. If there's a really long process for adding a user onto a system or something like that, if you can automate it, that would be brilliant. It would save you lots and lots of time. Run it again, just in case you missed it. Next on the list we have a load testing tool, which I promised to show you, called Siege. It's basically an HTTP testing tool that would give you the ability to load test web applications. I'll give you a quick demonstration here. So if we open up a tab, open up another one, Siege is already installed on here. So if we do a TCP dump on port 80 just to see what traffic's going through, and then we run Siege, this is going to be 10 users, recurring pages 10 times, google.com. So you should see loads of traffic coming down the right hand side page as soon as I run this. There we go, and then the TCP dump on the left hand side shows that traffic, and it gives you this nice little summary as well. There was 200 transactions in total, 100% availability, 2 minutes 43 seconds elapsed time, transferred data. Really good. Obviously 10 people doing 10 pages a second isn't very much. You would probably have multiple instances of Siege running, maybe 100 users each, and each of those users would run 50 to 60 pages each. It's a great tool. Again, be prepared to inform the rest of the team when you are running this, as there's a very good chance it'll saturate all of the web server sockets and effectively create a denial of service for the rest of your team, which isn't very good. So finally, testing strategy and best practices. Give early feedback. The earlier you can put feedback into the development team, the quicker things can get fixed. It's also good to inspire creativity as well within the QA team. Don't try and test things exactly the same way every single time. If you can think of a different way to test something, then do it. Chances are it could be a better way if you've got that experience, but you just never know.